Greetings to the universe. All praises due to Almighty El. Thanks to the archangels, ascended masters of light, love, truth. My grateful subscribers, my four pillars, Earth Joe, Earth Dog, Fernando, B-Man, and all my righteous warriors. I have a little bit of footage from the 8th, from the 9th, and some footage from last night that I'm going to show you. Also want to show you a brief video about 12 minutes about the flow, which will add a little bit more fuel to the MLT flow so you understand a little bit more of MLT, Major League Truth. I'm just a messenger. Major League Truth is all around us. Now this is some footage from last night. I recorded it about approximately 2 a.m. last night, Eastern time. As you can see, it was live at that time. And you see the angels protecting the southern vortex. As we're looking west, northwest in the Gulf. Here's an orb. The Crystal City is going counterclockwise. The dragon family's here. So it's going, let's see. Crystal City going counterclockwise. Angel ships protecting the portal. The dragon families out here, red kachinas out here, blue kachinas out here. Now, as we can see, the light vortex shaped around this orb, and these clouds are the dragon, and this is a ship that just took off from here, a guardian ship. The blue kachina is here, and the red kachina is out here also. So it's 6:14. This is from Saturday morning, yesterday. Watch what happens. So during the whole night, it was cloaked right there. Like I said, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not in competition with folks. See what's happening? And just like that, it's gone. And here's a shot of the moon going down in the southwest. Now you're gonna get to see it from a different angle if you're still a little skeptical. That's the Crystal City going counterclockwise during the wee hours of the morning. You see what's going on? The sun is gonna come up behind us, and you'll see the sun reflecting on these buildings. So this is not the sun, this is the southwest. This is MLT flow. And if man had this technology, they would solve world hunger. And they would put away their bombs. Because we would all be living peaceful lives. But instead, we're filled with deception on a daily basis. With the so-called education that they've given us. Major League Truth is not going anywhere. In fact, it's on its way. It's coming. And just like that, Nibiru fades. And as I said, the sun came up from the east. You'll see the sun reflecting off of the buildings coming up behind us in the east. See that? It's the sun coming up from the east, reflecting behind us. Now you're interested in soul retrieval? Check out the Edgar Cayce Association for Righteous Research and Enlightenment. I did mine a little over 10 years ago. I did mine, like I said, a little over 10 years ago. And I've said I've incarnated at the minimum 12 times. I'm on my 12th incarnation, the 12 powers of man. I develop acute psychic sensitivity, a sort of psychic x-ray vision that enable me to read hidden agendas, just like I do on YouTube. Unconscious messages posed by people. I have the ability to read motives and expressions of feelings. I have the capacity to deeply know persons emphatically and attune to their dark hidden undercurrents. I once had the reputation of a witch or a warlock. So the things I say, I don't say them for play. I'm about my Father's business. I am that I am. Mainstream, they're telling you about NASA and all their college-educated, brainwashed material that most of us admit that it's brainwashed and pseudoscience, but yet still we base our teachings and our watchers and our brotherhood activity on their pseudo knowledge. Now, watch Ancient Aliens, you watch Gia, you watch many channels, yeah. Anunnaki sped up the evolutionary process. Genetics were manipulated. It took 600 years. And this was being done on the face on Mars in the laboratory by Enki. This is courtesy of Israel, the chosen one. Like I said, these laboratories were on Mars. Israel asked me on the previous video, is Enki Satan? And I elaborated in the comment section. So if you have any comments or questions, you're welcome to leave them in the comment section. The Anunnaki did this without the permission of Anu-El. Without the permission of Anu-El that I told Israel. And this is why Mars lost its atmosphere. There's no need for me to make this stuff up, people. On Lions Gate, we had some missile launch. Just a bunch of garbage. But it is what it is. This is Thursday. This is Thursday morning, but I recorded it 2 o'clock Friday morning. This is from Thursday morning. This is your supposed missile launch. And the missile launch as usual, or shuttle launch, whatever launch it was in Cape Canaveral or the Keys or wherever it was just a distraction of what the Lions Gate, the Heaven's Gate is meant to be. The coming consciousness, the awakening of our higher selves. As you can see, 6:29 a.m. and here's your Crystal City doing its thing. It's going counterclockwise. This is from Pensacola, Florida, looking east. So this would be your Atlantic Ocean. This is the east, heading towards Africa and Europe. This doesn't look like a rocket launch to me. It has different colors. I've never seen a rocket do this before. Red Kachina, Blue Kachina, Nibiru. Now I want you to realize that the sun is going to rise here, and Nibiru was here the whole time before the sun rose. See the sun rising now at 7:29. 6:59. 20 minutes before sunrise. This is where Nibiru is. The sun didn't just float over here and pop up behind this building like presto changer. And this is what the Lion's Gate was. The opening of the Heaven's Gate. Coming in from the east and heading towards the south. The south is where God sits when he comes into this realm. So God came into this realm on the 8th. His consciousness. The consciousness of Christ, the anointed one. And that was looked over by a silly rocket launch. Got millions of views on many different channels. I'm not in competition with any channel. I'm a messenger of the Most High. I'm a channel unto myself, unlike no other. Here's your sun rising. And that was your supposed missile launch on the 8th. As I told you, I recorded this Friday morning in the wee hours of the morning. Now this is looking over Denver, 5:43. Sun is going to rise here. You see Nibiru's already up. Red Kachina. Now the sun is rising. Now, people can believe what they want to. They're all on the disinformation bus. They're all in the Nile in Egypt. And it's okay. You'll have a final chance to get it together. You'll have a chance to make a choice. Because all of this is leading up to the Sabbath. And the Sabbath is the judgment day. we got to see the same thing on Friday morning, as I took this before sunrise, because the sun doesn't come up till about like 7:15. And here you have the red Kachina, and Nibiru is behind here. And I'm sure everybody's gonna say, "Oh, Nibiru is this big planet that's 3 and 10 and 100 times size of Earth." Nibiru is a holographic planet-sized ship. Holographic. Has the ability to appear and be anything that it wants to be. That's why Major League Truth is Major League Truth. And my book will saturate the world. And Nibiru has come to change the world. As I've been telling you, Fernando had a beautiful video, with some cartoon CGI with the reading of Zacharias Stitchin's work about Nibiru and how it collided with Tiamat. Now here's your sunrise at 7:16. That was on the 7th, and here's the 9th. Sun came up 15 minutes later. Now the only thing that was missing in that video was them adding the fact that the battle between Tiamat weren't just big bulliards floating around in the sky. Lucifer was on Tiamat. Lucifer initiated the first nuclear bomb that spread it apart. And Nibiru just came to put it back together. And that's why we're here today on this blessed earth. And the day of judgment is coming, that the wheat will separate from the straw. I want to share with you this video, if you've made it so far. Taoism is nothing new, but I found that this video helped me to meditate faster, to get into the zone, the flow, the MLT flow. So let's take a look at this video.
Resistance overcomes the hardest substances. That which offers no resistance can enter where there is no space. Few in the world can comprehend the teaching without words or understand the value of non-action. Lao Tzu. There's no proof that he truly ever lived, but if he did, it should have been somewhere around the 5th and 6th century BC, which makes him a contemporary of Confucius. Nevertheless, the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu wrote a masterpiece called the Tao Te Ching, which is the main work of Taoism. A well-known concept that has emerged from Taoist philosophy is Wu Wei, that can be translated as non-action, effortless action, or the paradoxical action of non-action. In a practical sense, we can describe Wu Wei as the state of flow, often referred to as the zone by athletes. When athletes are in the zone, they engage in action without striving and move through time and space almost effortlessly. There are no extremes, no worries, no ruminations. Everything seems to flow in a natural course. As an introduction to the beautiful tradition of Taoism, I would like to present you the philosophy of flow. The Jing is a mysterious piece of art. Not only there's no consensus when exactly it was written, but the existence of its author remains disputed. Nevertheless, one thing is certain: the profundity of this work has left its mark on humanity to this day. Not to mention that the Tao Te Ching is the most translated work in world literature after the Bible. The essence of Taoist philosophy is living in harmony with the Tao, also called the Way. So, what is the Tao? That's a question we can't really answer, and it's futile to try. Our understanding of the Tao only goes as far as the limitations of our perception. What the Tao really is, and what it looks, feels, smells, or sounds like, remains a mystery. Moreover, the Tao that we speak of isn't the real Tao, according to Lao Tzu. Hence, the famous opening of the Tao Te Ching goes like this. The Tao that can be described is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be spoken is not the eternal name. End quote. So, what knowledge is available about the Tao? Well, the Taoist philosophers emphasize over and over again that the true Tao is an all-encompassing force that is beyond our comprehension and cannot be perceived by the senses. And even though we can never grasp the true Tao, the goal is to live in agreement with it, which is strikingly similar to the Stoic approach to nature. So, how do we live in harmony with the Way? Taoist literature doesn't really give one practical method to achieve this. However, we can find many clues that point to achieving stillness of mind, curbing the senses, being humble, and the cessation of striving in order to open ourselves up to the workings of the universe. This stillness of mind doesn't necessarily mean that we sit down somewhere with our eyes closed. The Taoists observe that stillness of mind can be combined with action, and if we are completely in the present moment, our actions will go effortlessly, without friction, and accompanied by a razor-sharp focus. So much so that it's almost ecstatic. In his biography, retired professional basketball player Bill Russell writes, "It was almost as if we were playing in slow motion. During those spells, I could almost sense how the next play would develop and where the next shot would be taken." End quote. The Taoist work Zhuangzi contains a story about a cook named Ting who engages in his work while in a state of flow. This grasped the attention of Lord Wen Hui, who was amazed about how elegantly the cook cut up oxen. When he commented him on his skill, Cook Ting laid down his knife and replied, "What I care about is the way, which goes beyond skill. When I first began cutting up oxen, all I could see was the ox itself. After 3 years, I no longer saw the whole ox, and now I go at it by spirit, and don't look with my eyes. Perception and understanding have come to stop, and spirit moves where it wants. I go along with the natural makeup, strike in the big hollows, guide the knife through the big openings, and following things as they are. So I never touch the smallest ligament or tendon, much less a main joint." End quote. An essential part of this story is the condition of the knife that the cook uses. He stated that good cooks change their knives every year because they cut, and mediocre cooks change their knives every month because they hack. Cook Ting, however, was using the same knife for 19 years because he used it with skill and subtlety. This story connects to another essential teaching of Taoism, which is the power of gentleness. By forcing and striving, we might get the job done, but at the same time, we spend much more energy than necessary and possibly suffer from collateral damage. On the other hand, someone in a state of flow approaches a task intelligently, knowing when to act and when not to, and finds a balance between action and non-action. It's a matter of not too hot, not too cold. It's the golden path between anxiety and boredom. The idea behind non-action goes against the Western ideal of forcing and working harder and harder to get results. We are encouraged to be ambitious, to take control, and to strive. Meanwhile, many people suffer from depression, anxiety disorders, and sleep disorders. Are we burning ourselves out? We look down on passivity and often mistake it for laziness, but these are different things. When we look at nature, doing nothing makes way more sense than we tend to think. Results do not equal the amount of energy we spend. Results are the consequence of a series of actions. The funny thing about this is that many of these actions come naturally, and the task doesn't need more human intervention than necessary to steer it into the right direction. Isn't it so that many problems solve themselves? Taoism compares life to a river. The river already has a course, or several courses, and once we find ourselves in that river, we can swim against the current, we can hold on to a branch, or we can let go and go along with the stream. Most of our lives, we swim against the current, and we don't even realize it. Our mind believes that it can and should control the environment in order to survive, which is kind of egocentric, because the vast majority of processes within as well as outside ourselves are not in our control. I mean, let's face it, we don't control our bodily processes like digestion, blood flow, or the healing of wounds. We don't control other people. We don't control the future. We don't even control who we fall in love with and what people we find attractive. Everything outside our own faculties just goes into some direction, sometimes forced by intelligence, but mostly in a natural course. When we flow along with the current, we align ourselves with this natural course. This is the path of least resistance. It gives nature a chance to unfold without us resisting it. So the Taoist way is rather navigating through the river instead of trying to control it, something that will never work. Another aspect of the river that characterizes Taoism is the water itself. The characteristics of water are softness and humility that basically symbolize Taoist virtue. Here's a quote from the Tao Te Ching. The supreme good is like water, which benefits all of creation without trying to compete with it. It gathers in unpopular places, thus it is like the Tao. End quote. Water may be soft, but it overcomes hardness, which we can see in the erosion of rock. And water not only seeks the lower places, it also has no purpose, no goal, no specific desire. Yet it nourishes everything that it passes. It's an incredible life force that literally does God's work, but without any ambition. Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. End quote. If you've ever experienced a state of flow, there's one thing that disappears and only comes back when the thinking mind takes back control. This is the focus on results, rather than the task at hand. This reminds me of the Stoic concept of amor fati, which recommends one to embrace the outcome, whatever it may be, and instead of worrying about the future, focusing on what's in the present. No matter if you're completely immersed in sports, writing, a video game, or dancing, when you're in a state of flow, you forget the results, the pressure, the anxieties about the future, the failings of the past. It's just you and the task at hand. You are completely in the present, and the only way to do this is by letting go. Letting go means stop swimming against the current, stop holding on to some branches. It means letting go of the past, letting go of the future. Focus on this moment entirely and just live it without hesitation. Thank you for watching.
I praise thee, I praise thee. Give all the glory,
Blessed love to each and every
yours truly.
light keeper out there. We're truly the light of Christ. Blessed Sunday to all.
We're living a battle, and the God is on our side.
You understand the flow of MLT.
We're not afraid of losing, not me. So we're not afraid to fight. We're fighting for our freedom. We're dying for our rights, yeah.
Big Papa has one on the right and one on the left. Blue, red.
I found paradise. So where is the justice?
Small ships.
Somebody tell me now. Where is the peace you talk this dark place. Wish a light shine on me. I'm trying to keep my faith, the one thing they can't take from me. Where are the believers who believe in life, that would risk it all just to do what's right, to fight the good fight? Here we go again.
You're not gonna see this on CNN.
On you we all depend, and we can make it work, for we know what it's worth. Why don't you stop the wars from all over this earth? So where is the justice? Somebody tell me now. Where is the peace you talk about? Still living in darkness. Oh, somebody tell me now. Tell me, where are the keepers of the light? You know the place that bright. All of the keepers of the light got together like Christ. But once people might think twice, and we can live one love in our real life. Imagine if man live like Christ. Or Buddha or Muhammad, or the place would not
13 minutes before sunrise.
Equal rights and love. We are the keepers. We are the keepers. We are the keepers of the light. We are the keepers. We are the
Light.
keepers.
2 a.m. in the morning, the angels.
So where is the justice? Somebody tell me now. Where is the
Put on your violet flames, people. Put on the armor of God.
living in dark?
See yourself in the violet flame from head to toe, from toe to head.
Where are the keepers of the light?
And then surround it with a silver aura that nothing will penetrate it. Teach the truth to your family, friends, and those who want to know. Time is upon us. God bless.